A.W. Tozer said, "What comes to mind when we think about God is the most important thing about us. Low views of God destroy the gospel for all who hold them." In the postmodern society we live in today, statements like this one are put on the back burner as people find meaning in whatever they choose. Maybe their career, or social status, or ethnicity, or accomplishment. All these are visible, and our society tells us that visibility correlates to significance. Daniel Keim, a Ball State student and devoted follower of Jesus Christ, is currently trying to flip this idea in his life. He is trying to find his significance in the invisible.
I believe that God saved my dad's life. I believe that God is capable of doing anything, and I mean anything, He wants to do. I believe in the power of praying to this all-powerful God. I also believe the story I'm about to tell you is worth telling. It is the story of the worst day of my life that turned into the best day of my life. On August the 3rd, 2010, as my heavy eyelids stubbornly refused to open, my phone rang. My brother's voice came through, sounding audibly shaken, but trying nonetheless to mask it. "Get dressed. Adam is coming to take you to the hospital. Dad is dead." A vocally hushed, yet mentally cacophonic car ride later, and I'm at St. Francis. My dad lay on the hospital bed as doctors scrambled around him, trying to make his heart beat again. All I could do was watch as the tears and thoughts of life without my father came. I had been raised in a church-going family, and both my parents were very strong in their faith and spiritual convictions. Up until that point, I had believed every word they had said in church as well, except I wouldn't say that I knew Jesus personally. I hadn't yet made my faith my own. It was still just my parents' faith rubbing off on me. But, as I watched my dad lying there, it would make complete sense for me to have renounced it all. God can't exist. If he does, he is cruel for this. There's no way he loves me if he's doing this to me. God is not only taking away my dad, he's taking away my best friend. Instead, against all reason, I prayed. As soon as my brother called me and the words came out of his mouth, my eyes shot open and I pleaded with the creator of the universe. Please don't let this be true. Please let it be a mistake. If it isn't a mistake, let him live, God. Don't take him from me. I repeated this prayer throughout that day. All the doctors at St. Francis Hospital, the #2 cardiac ward in the United States, told us he would not live. They said if he did live, he would be a vegetable. Machines would do everything necessary in keeping him alive, but he would not be able to take care of himself. I prayed anyway. These doctors didn't have the power to save him. Nothing short of a miracle would do it, and God is in the business of performing miracles. As cliche as it sounds, I literally fell to my knees for the first time and begged God to save him that night. I said if he saved my dad, I would try to develop a relationship with his son that I should have had a long time ago. Within an hour of the initial phone call, his heart began beating again. But he had been without a heartbeat for too long, they said. His brain would doubtless be severely damaged. I prayed anyway. The next day, the doctors of the #2 cardiac ward in the nation couldn't explain to us why my dad was gaining stability in his condition. 2 days later, they couldn't explain why he had chewed through his breathing apparatus and was fully capable of breathing on his own. A day or two later, they couldn't explain why he was able to regain consciousness and look around the room. The next week, they again couldn't explain why he regained some movement and speech ability. All the while, I was praying, nodding at what the doctors told us, but pleading again and again in my soul. Shortly after that, he was released from the hospital and sent to a rehabilitation center. By Thanksgiving, he was home again with us. So, when people ask me why I believe in this notion of an omnipotent God, I tell them that I've seen him at work. My dad was dead for 50 minutes. I prayed unceasingly to the God that just so happens to claim power over life and death. My dad is alive, and I can drive to his house and hug him and watch movies with him and laugh at his inappropriate jokes. It seems someone is responsible for him being alive, and considering every doctor in that building told us he would not live, The answer seems crystal clear to me.
Since the events of the story, Daniel has attended Ball State University and become heavily involved with the Navigators, a Christian organization on campus. Before coming to Ball State, he had never even read the Bible. He now leads a small group Bible study with the Navigators. This past summer, he went on a missions trip to Southeast Asia, where he stayed in 3 different Muslim host homes over the course of 3 weeks. He held many conversations about Jesus Christ and all that he offers. Among them was a prominent story of how God raised his father from the dead. For this, I believe, I'm Jadonna Robinson.